Essa música.
Hello, I am Aisha.
And Paula, your cultural hybrid mental health therapist.
Here to explore unfiltered and heartfelt conversations on core issues
that affect us as human beings. Get ready for honest, captivating,
and real stories that take you on a journey to navigate your life
in the best possible way.
So grab a seat
and stay with us on this episode of
Do We Have Your Attention? Hi, I'm Aisha.
And I'm Paula.
And we are your cultural hybrid mental health therapists. And this is the Do We Have Your Attention podcast.
First of all, can I just say that it is so cool to say that we are on episode 9 of season 2.
I know, right?
It feels
We've come
good.
far.
We're
We've come
almost
far.
halfway through already with season 2.
Yeah.
So today's episode is one that I think we've been meaning to talk about for a while now, because it's something that I feel as though a lot of people can relate to.
Exactly. Yep. Today we're asking the question a lot of people have been talking about for at least 5 years now. Okay, maybe 3 years. Okay. But the question is, why are millennials so unhappy?
Yes. So let's start with that, because when I think about millennial generations, obviously I think about the fact that we're a generation that's been raised with so much hope, access, vibes. I think we're the best generation because we have the experience of growing up without the internet and social media to some degree, and then obviously growing up with the internet and social media. But then obviously it begs the question, why is this generation a generation that is so burnt out, a generation that is so underwhelmed, a generation that is so overwhelmed, and a generation that is so anxious?
Yeah. And to be honest, we're not here to just fully blame social media like TikTok and all of that. We're just hoping to dive into the expectations like hustle culture, seeking therapy, fatigue, comparing yourself on social media, and all of that good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm really excited. And I know that you are excited as well.
Yeah.
Let's address the elephant in the room. I know I don't sound excited. I am just congested, but I am really excited. Aisha is also excited because for our episode today, we actually have someone we love and we absolutely respect the work that she does in the Nigerian community and even beyond as well, in just really pioneering what wellness should look like for us as individuals. So it gives me so much joy to welcome Faith Onyesom of the Good Faith Yoga as our special guest for today.
Welcome, Faith. Hi.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I have been looking forward to this all day.
I love it.
All day today. I was just like, I can't wait to do this. But thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And just before we get into it, we want to read your bio so that people know who you are. So Faith is an experienced and passionate yoga teacher. She specializes in vinyasa, hatha, yin, and rocket yoga styles. She has 7 years of practice, and she's been teaching for 5 years. She's committed to providing a safe space for clients using meditation, yoga, and mindfulness and self-empowerment, okay? And her classes offer creative sequences with emphasis on proper alignment and breathing techniques, aromatherapy, and meditation to foster strong and healthy bodies and minds. Wow.
Just, honestly.
The bio speaks for itself.
The bio speaks for itself. Faith, we're so grateful to have you here. And I think that it's really cool that to some degree we get to give you your flowers. And obviously I know that...
Yes, clapping
I know you
for
and I
her.
go way back in terms of the fact that we were in the same high school. We went to the same high school together. But I really, really do respect.
I know, it's been like, I've known Paula for, I want to say.
Since we were children.
Literally since we were less
That
than
is so
teenagers.
cute.
So that's right.
It is wild
Really
to say this
exciting.
as an adult, but I have really, really, from the onset, since you've been on this journey, just as a yoga practitioner, I admire and respect the work that you do. And obviously as an on and off student
Yogi
of yours,
practice.
because I have attended your classes. You've also been my teacher as well through Zoom. I think it was where I don't even know. I've basically been to Faith's classes enough, whether that's one-on-one or a group of people.
Yep.
So I really, really love the work that you do. It's really cool to have you here as well. We're looking forward to this conversation with you. And of course, before we go deep, Aisha, I know that we need to do our feelings check-in.
Yes. We need to do our feelings check-in, and we're going to give our guests the honors. You check in with yourself first, Faith. How are you feeling today?
First of all, Saturdays are somewhat, I would say, my longest days, like work-wise, just because as a yoga teacher, I have clients that kind of want to do their sessions on a Saturday as opposed to a weekday, although I still teach weekdays, but I find that most people want to do their sessions on a weekend or a Saturday. So I'm tired physically. I feel physically tired, but mentally and emotionally, I feel great. I feel excited. There's a feeling of excitement. I think it's part of just being here.
Yeah.
That's making me feel excited, and it's giving me like an energy boost. Like an energy boost. So even if I feel physically tired, I still feel energetically excited to be here. So my physical and energetical feelings. That's how I generally would say I am feeling right now.
We love that. Thank you for sharing, Faith. And we love that you're feeling energetic, because this topic can be very difficult to talk about, because as 3 millennials on the call right now.
Listen.
Okay, Paula, tell us how you're feeling. How are you feeling?
Why was that? I don't know, in my own head. I was hearing, that 3 millennials walk into a bar.
Yes.
And then complete the sentence. So today I am feeling excited. I'm feeling happy. I'm also feeling very grateful. So a little bit of yellow, orange, a little bit of green as well. I know I don't sound like it.
Yeah.
But I am feeling good, because I think that it's nice to say, like I mentioned, that we're halfway through season 2. And then obviously I've been loving having guests.
I know.
And this, Faith. Like, Faith is someone that I think I've always, when I think about guests and whatnot, you've been someone that has always been on my mind.
The list, yeah.
So it's almost like tick reality type of situation.
Yay.
So I'm looking forward to it.
First check. We'll still have you back soon. Just saying.
Yeah.
No, I'm happy to come back anytime. I love these types of conversations. I love learning. I love speaking about experiences and kind of just like, discussing what we're all experiencing. So this is right time, very timely.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing, Paula. I think I echo how both of you are feeling. I feel very excited today. Yeah, very ready to dive into the conversation. I have energy. I think this is the first episode I've come with mad energy.
I noticed.
Yeah, I know, right? Usually I'm like, I'm tired. I know, right? I'm just excited. So yeah, let's dive into our topic. But before that, Paula.
Yes, we obviously want to make sure that to our listeners, you are checking in with yourself. Already. Make sure that you're either just feeling stretched thin. If you're feeling stretched thin, if you're sort of driving, sleeping, walking, whatever it is that you're doing as you're listening to our podcast, basically, just make sure to check in to see how you're feeling as this conversation is going. And already, we always would love to hear from you. We love your feedback. So make sure to keep the conversation going as well.
Exactly. And so let's dive right into it. So just to start, Paula, do you want to tell our listeners what inspired this episode? And then I want to hear from both of you in terms of what you've personally experienced in your circles or at work, working with millennials or just having friends that are also millennials in conversations that you have. Why do you think people are unhappy?
So it's a good question, especially in figuring out what inspired this episode. Now, I don't remember directly because we think about our episodes oftentimes
way ahead
of time. And I'm sure there was some, and speaking for myself, because I'm always having like, light bulb moments. I call it light bulb moment. Where
Real.
We need to. And then all of a sudden I'm like burst of energy. We need to talk about this. So I don't remember exactly, but I think that this is a reality that we all live to some degree, whether it's from a personal perspective or from a societal perspective. Unfortunately, our generation, and maybe we're not going to know so much right now as to the impact of just the mental health impact for millennials in living in this system and world that we do. But I think having the space to be able to have conversations around it, and also let the millennials out there as well have spaces where they can connect with our conversation and have conversations as well in their own friend group, support system, whatever the case might be. That is probably one of the main things that I would say would be a driving force in making sure that this is a conversation that we have.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Paula. I think I remember, I feel like there was a time where everyone was just online sharing how unhappy they were, or there was just like a lot of burnout, a lot of comparison, a lot of like not feeling enough. And then we were like, light bulb. This is a topic that we should have on our podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess going off of what you were saying, and Faith, you are welcome to join in whenever you would like. Going back to what you were saying, Aisha, as to why, I guess the main question, right, is why are millennials unhappy? Would you identify as a happy millennial or a millennial who is unhappy, or a millennial who sort of flows between happy and unhappy? How would you identify your own self, Faith?
I think this is a really interesting question.
Yeah.
I find it really interesting because me as a person, right, before yoga or even before any knowledge of mindfulness or, doing anything, I have always strived not for necessarily happiness, but contentment. Contentment has always been something that I was striving for as, okay, even if I'm happy today, I'm content with being happy. If I'm sad tomorrow, I'm content with being sad, knowing that, your emotions kind of change over the course of whatever. Whether it's a day or a week or whatever, even minutes, your emotions can kind of like sway so much that I think even growing up, I realized happiness or sadness or whatever emotion I was feeling, it was never something I expected to be just always present. I kind of realized very early on that I wanted to always just feel content with whatever I was feeling. So, of course, in this moment, I feel happy in like maybe this era of my life. I can say that I do feel happy with my life, the decisions I'm making, and all of these things. But I also know that there's moments where I don't feel happy. I don't feel even content. Sometimes I don't feel content with myself, or I'm just like, I don't feel like I feel maybe, let's say, sad. And I don't feel content with feeling sad because I'm trying to change it immediately. I'm just trying to be like, I want to be less sad. And the more you try to change it, the more you're kind of stuck in that space. So for myself, I think in this, like I said, in this era of my life, I do feel happy and I do feel content that I feel happy. But happiness is never really my goal. I think so that's how it is for me.
Yeah, you make a very interesting point there. And I think it's probably something I have said before, where happiness is something that you're constantly working towards. Its action. It's not necessarily like a state of being. And I think sometimes we see it as something that's a state of being. So of course, if the circumstances in your life are not necessarily favoring you to be in a position where you do feel happy, it's very easy for you to feel unhappy. So I really appreciate you sort of just highlighting as well that for you, happiness has always been something that you don't focus too much on. It's more about just like being content and being in a place of, regardless of whatever circumstance I'm guessing is happening in your life, there's a certain level of peace that you have with yourself, which I think is really cool. But I also want to ask you as well, obviously, Aisha, I know that you had mentioned as well if we've had any personal experiences that relate to this topic of millennials being unhappy, but also how would you identify as well as a millennial?
Are you asking me or Faith?
You.
Oh.
You're like, look at you looking at me like, me?
I know, I was like, wait.
I thought I was a Gen Z. Aisha is Gen Z / millennial.
Okay, well, I think I echo what Faith said. It took me a while to get to this point, though, because, you grow up, you kind of feel like you're socialized to chase happiness, to chase like the good things in life, to chase success, to chase all of these things. So it took a while for me to be like, well, those things are kind of temporary in the sense of like you get to a point and then it's like there's always something else to pursue, or you see somebody else getting to a level where you're like, well, I want to get to that level too. So like it's easy for you to just not even sit with that happiness that you have, because now all of a sudden you've seen that someone else has gotten to another level where you're like, actually I should be there too. So I agree with what Faith said in terms of now I chase contentment in the sense of emotions sway every day, every time, right? And we feel emotions at different severities. So I can be happy and I can also be hopeful and I can also be sad at the same time.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that contentment does. It helps you sit with all of those at the same time without necessarily fixating on one feeling in general. Like you could just sit with all three and be like, you know what, I'm happy, but I also know that I want to be better. And I'm also sad that this thing didn't work out for me.
Yeah.
And back to the other question of like, is this something I've seen? I think, when I have conversations I don't work with a lot of millennials. I actually work with Gen Zs now, but a lot of my friends are millennials, and the conversations we have is basically everyone just feeling like there's so much to do. There's not enough that's been done. Now, obviously, with the effects of social media and seeing where people are and seeing how the Gen Zs have been able to get success in a very fast-paced trajectory. I think it's easy for anyone to be like, damn, what am I doing with my life? These people are younger than me and they are all successful and I'm supposed to be older and have this trajectory. And I also feel like, I don't know if you guys experience this in your friendship groups or families, or just speaking from the Nigerian perspective, I feel like a lot of people, I don't want to say regrets, but I feel like a lot of people feel like they started off their own journeys later in life because they were doing it for their parents or something like that. So that contributed to a lot of like, I don't know if it was COVID or after COVID, but a lot of people had like aha moments where they're like, wait a minute, these things that I've been doing for years are not even making me happy. And then unfortunately, recession, COVID, everything just came bam. And everyone was like, I don't know if this is working out for me. I don't know if I'm happy. I don't know if I'm living the life that I would want for myself. So I just feel like, these are conversations that happen in my circles all the time. And I think it's focused more on like, I need to do more. There's hustle. You know what I mean? Like there's just always something else to do, or just feeling.
Hustle culture is ruining a lot.
Girl, and people are encouraging it.
Yeah, it's just like hustle, hustle, hustle. Let's do, go. There's just always something. And I know that I don't want to blame social media for a lot of these things, of course. But like having proximity to so many people having so many successes and stuff.
Yeah.
And my mom always says this thing that not many people post or share their failures on social media. We're always seeing all these success and I did this today, I did that. Like it's always all these great, amazing things that yes, they're great for helping motivate you and helping you see the direction that you can go and all the things that you can possibly achieve. But at the same time, I think we still have a long way to go in understanding if those are the things that we actually want for ourselves. Or are they things that we've been told to want just based on seeing that other people are getting them, right? So I think hustle culture, capitalism, social media, these are some of the things that me personally I would blame. Not totally, of course, because you have ultimate control at the end of the day to take care of your own self and prioritize your own wants and needs and all these things. But these are also things to consider, I guess.
Yeah, Paula, I want to hear your thoughts too.
I don't know if you saw my face as Faith was mentioning hustle culture and this and that, and I was just like, because to be honest with you, I'm part of that culture.
We all are. I think we all can be. I also am. There was a time I was teaching 20, 40 classes a week. Exactly. I thought I was hustling, and I was like, being a yoga teacher here in Lagos, Nigeria, it's not the same as, for example, being in the West, where yoga has been established as this amazing thing. I feel like here in Nigeria, we're kind of just baby steps, right? We're just entering into this market of mindfulness and wellness and all these lovely things. So when you're starting out in a career like that, you kind of have to work extremely hard to make it valuable for yourself, to make it something that you can live off. So you kind of have to feed into this capitalism and
Yeah,
hustle culture
absolutely.
and just doing the most so that you can make
Absolutely.
ends meet, right? Because
yeah.
you're doing this thing that you love and you're doing your passions and stuff. But sometimes your passion may not be funding your life or funding your lifestyle.
Mhm.
So the other end of that then comes just
Yeah.
grind it out, hustle it out until you can make it. And I've definitely been a part of that.
Yeah, I think it goes back to a point that you made as well, Aisha, in regards to millennials being the generation who started off pursuing career opportunities that were favorable to their parents or
Yes.
their family or society or whatnot. And then seeing like, oh, I could actually quit my job and maybe transition into something else instead. So I hear a lot of stories or meet a lot of people who are millennials who would say, oh, I used to work in engineering or tech, but now I own a fashion brand. Now I this, now I that, whatnot. So to some degree, I think there's benefits in the sense where obviously we see the generation after us, the Gen
Yeah.
Zs, sort of doing what they want to do, not necessarily what society, so to speak, expects them to do. So,
Yeah.
of course, for someone like yourself who's in a field of work, which I guess would be considered still very new to the Nigerian community, even here in the US, I think saying that, oh, you are a yoga practitioner is amazing. But I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure there's a lot of people who would immediately go, oh, there's no financial stability
Stability,
there. And we
yeah.
can say it's similar for our own field of work as well, where we will be considered unconventional field of work.
Yeah.
So I get where exactly you're coming from when you talk about the hustle culture. You don't have a choice but to, so to speak, hustle in that regard.
Yeah.
And then the flip side of it being for those who have been maybe in corporate world to a large degree, getting to a point where they are actually living their lives for themselves, making that transition can be very difficult. And I'm grateful to say that
Agreed.
I can't fully relate because in my own case, from the very beginning, and when I say beginning, I just mean I studied psychology. I knew that I was going to do either music or specialize in something in psychology. But I had no choice in the sense where I was bad at everything else. Like it was not a situation where I could have gone to school for engineering or medicine or accounting or finance. I was so bad.
She was destined for therapy.
Now, when I saw I
Yes.
was great when it came to psychology, I didn't have to even read to understand. And I was just naturally gifted in it. I was like, this is my thing.
Right.
So from the very beginning, I think for me, I've already had to navigate my life in a way where as a millennial who has an unconventional career pursuit, so to speak, and in just really working towards and working against what people have to say because they don't really respect your profession, respect what you do, and sort of carving a space for yourself and your own identity. So I think it's great that I don't necessarily fully relate in regards to that perspective, but more so from the economic impact perspective. The perspective of, unfortunately, our generation being the generation where a lot of people, unfortunately, are not going to be homeowners as early as, let's say, our parents' generation.
Yeah.
Or even to some degree, even Gen Z generations were sort of like in the middle.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting. Our generation as well is a generation that has major stress from student loans as well, from debt, from financial crisis. There's so much stagnancy in our earnings as well. In addition to all of that, we're the most educated generation, which is so interesting to think about.
Right.
That we are the ones who have the degrees, and still are sort of in that hole where the financial burden not just affects us in terms of stability and obviously the things we would want to achieve for ourselves and milestones. It also affects relationships as well, in the sense where if you notice, there's a lot more millennials who are partnering later on in life, getting married later on in life, because the last thing that you're thinking about per se is trying to find love and settle down and have a child and whatnot, because working towards that level of financial stability and security becomes the main focus for us. So when you actually think about it, you're like, yeah, I see how that unhappiness can exist because it's very heavily rooted in the economic crisis that we've been living in.
Yep. I think you even answered our next question, which was, what do you think are the biggest reasons millennials are feeling unfulfilled or unhappy today? So capitalism, social media, hustle culture, but the main one being capitalism. I think our generation, for some reason, we feel like we're working hard, but there's that stagnancy that you said, like it's not yielding.
Yeah.
The financial part is not yielding, so then you start to feel stressed, burnt out, you start feeling depressed, or you have just like lack of motivation, or you go to the extreme end of like hustling to the point where you're now doing like 50 different things at the same time. You never have time for rest or yourself, which can be very, very difficult. So thank you both for sharing.
Absolutely.
So Faith, we want to know from your work in yoga and mindfulness, what patterns have you seen, if any, in how millennials carry stress or emotional exhaustion in their bodies?
Listen, for the millennials, listen to this question.
No, everybody open their ears now. Because let me tell you, I noticed this thing kind of like throughout all my classes, depending, of course, classes vary. I have private sessions and group sessions and all of these things. And one of the common themes that runs across is like the way that it manifests physically. Really tight shoulders, like tension in your shoulders and neck, like this upper shoulder area. Let me tell you, people are walking around with their shoulders up to their ears. Like people are walking around so
me.
tense.
They're carrying shoulder.
They're carrying shoulder literally. Like it's insane when you tell someone just to lift up their arm, right? And you can't see someone lift up their arm without lifting up their shoulders as well, because they're so
tense.
tuned to they're so tense with it. And of course, once you start to get tension in your shoulders, your entire spine kind of wants to carry that weight, and you start to see people slouching. So things like that. Tight hips as well. We have a saying in yoga that you can store tension in your hips.
Sure.
You can store tension and emotion, right?
You better tell them, because people don't know. Say it again, Faith.
So many unresolved feelings, unresolved emotions. And a lot of us do this thing where, let's say you have a problem with something, or you have a problem with someone, and you're just like, I can't be bothered to start telling this person about it. I can't be bothered. Meanwhile, that whole process, right, it kind of needs an end. It needs, like, if there's a finality that's required to expressing yourself. Sometimes you may need to express it to yourself that I'm uncomfortable about this. Some people don't even do that. It's kind of just like, let's put this to one side. I'll resolve it. I'll resolve it later. And you have all these emotions that now are unresolved. You don't process. Those emotions need somewhere to go. We say that emotion also is energy, and energy kind of is a flowing thing. And if it gets stuck, it just stays there. It stays there until you physically release it. I've had people cry in yoga sessions when they do hip openers.
Do you remember the last session that I had with you? I cried.
Yes, it happens quite a lot.
I just want to say,
I was like, Faith, something is happening.
Did you do?
Something is happening right now.
What have you done to me?
What is happening,
no,
Faith?
girl, you have some, and it's interesting because you, as a therapist, you have the tools, you have all of these things to kind of let those emotions kind of pass. But at the same time, you have your own stuff. Everybody
just a human being.
Just as a human being. So we really, really need to investigate where our own tensions are being stored. I've also touched people's shoulders. Sometimes I do it at the end of each class where I come and give people a shoulder press. And there's two things happen. Either they completely melt into my palms and just you feel them sink into the ground, or they are so tense in their shoulders that they push against my hands. Right? They push against my hands.
Reflex.
And they're so tense, and I just stay there, and I'm just like, and the more you stay there, the more I'm there, the more you can just feel that shoulder kind of compressed towards the ground. So shoulders and hips physically are some of the tightest areas I've seen in people. I also see like really shallow breathing. People don't breathe really deeply. And
Faith, quickly, I just want to say therapists are vindicated, because we'll be telling our clients these things and they think we're joking.
The breath, right?
The breath, the physical.
what your breath can do.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
please keep going. Yeah, I just wanted to say we're vindicated.
So I definitely think people, the shallow breathing, and of course your breath is so heavily linked to your nervous system, right? So if
yeah.
you're breathing shallow, if you're breathing upwards towards your chest and all these very shallow breaths, it just tells your body that I'm not okay.
Right.
Because we are designed to breathe full, deep,
Breaths.
expansive breaths. And your nervous system would read that as, oh, we're good right now. We're not stressed. We're breathing fully. And your entire body works as a result of you breathing fully. You're more relaxed. You're less anxious. Your shoulders might even drop once you start to breathe fully. But once you're breathing shallow, it can translate to your nervous system as, we're at risk. So you have to tense up.
Yeah.
The body is now tense. Your muscles are tense because it's ready to fight or flight, because that's the signal that you're giving your body is, I'm ready to fight or flight. That's why I'm breathing so short right now. So you're constantly
Preparing.
not at a state of rest. You are constantly ready to just, go to the next thing,
Respond.
do the next thing. And that can affect, like, doctors say that 60-70% of the reasons why people come into a doctor's office is because of stress.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You fall ill because of stress. Your immune system, your nervous system, your everything, reproductive system, sometimes digestion, a lot of things are affected when we're stressed. And a lot of stress can be reduced by just breathing deeply. So not the
better
way that
tell the
stress will
people
manifest in your own life, but like the way that it impacts you physically can be really helped by just breathing deeply. So for me, in my classes, I try and make sure that there's a lot of shoulder openers, there's a lot of hip openers, and there's a lot of deep breathing. Sometimes most times I would start and end the class with breathing. Some people also don't know how to breathe. I'm so sorry to say.
A lot of people don't know how to breathe. Not some, a lot.
I was like, do you know that you can breathe wrong? And someone was like, what do you mean? I'm inhaling and exhaling. Yeah, some people just do not know how to breathe. Sometimes you tell people to breathe and they inhale and their belly goes in, right? Because we're also, as women, sometimes, not even sometimes, a lot of the times we're sucking in our bellies.
We are.
We're holding tension in our
and
bellies.
that's the place you're supposed to be sending
oxygen,
right?
Want that breath.
With the fashion nowadays, people are not breathing.
Yeah, so really, I would say that breath is one of the most important things that we can do for
and
our
it is
stress.
Free and it is accessible.
You better say that again.
And
you better say that again.
Because the first thing anyone always says when you recommend something is, I can't afford it or can I afford it? So I'm like, breath is free and is accessible. You don't have to do anything
afford it.
To be able to get
accessible for everyone.
You can afford it. Wow, Faith, thank you for sharing that, because I'm sure a lot of people are gonna have that light bulb moment and just, learn a lot from what you shared. But like I was saying, I feel like as therapists, we are vindicated because in our sessions, we do let clients know about the importance of breathing. We let them know that we carry emotions in our bodies. And I think sometimes they respond with defense of like, that's not why I came here. What are you know? Again, I think it's hard to sit with the truth of like, this is all the stuff you've been carrying. And I think a lot of times people are not ready to come to terms with the reality of how much they're internalizing and not really expressing or like, processing as human beings. So I liked something you said about like, you need to breathe to let your body work. Yes, you really cannot function well if you're not breathing well or just staying still and just staying present, which is what, being mindful and practicing yoga does. Yeah.
Is it also, and I really appreciate you obviously sharing this, because I think obviously we are therapists here, and so to some degree we have obviously some level of knowledge as well and training versus let's say someone who's a novice and who's just hearing this for the first time. I really appreciate you sort of breaking it down to someone in recognizing like, wait, so I store so much in my hip region. But of course we know, because from a trauma trained perspective, the root chakra is like where the especially for women, that is sort of where we hold a lot of trauma, unfortunately, and a lot of people don't recognize that. So you being able to sort of break it down in letting people know that even just through movement and through stretching and whatnot, like there's ways in which you can release some things emotionally. And there's a woman I follow, the Workout Witch, I think that's her account. Like she sort of specializes as well in stretches and movements that are very much so tailored to releasing
Nice.
trauma and stress, but also cortisol level. And obviously, as someone like myself who has a history of and diagnosis of PTSD, these were some of the things I had to learn, because one can also just see it as stress and emotional exhaustion. But then there's the other aspect in recognizing that a lot of our millennial generation most likely have some type of history of complex
Just
trauma
trauma.
as
Yeah,
well. A lot of
agreed.
them are also parentified kids. So to some degree, who Aisha,
Sorry, my face. I'm so sorry.
Aisha was like, preach.
I said clock it.
Like, please.
No, but it's true though. Some of them, a lot of us are
is very true.
parentified kids. So to some degree, it's almost like saying you've been functioning in survival mode, in being the adult as a kid, but now you have to like listen to your body. Now you have to prioritize yourself. Now you have to make sure that you're sort of unlearning some of these things. So I do empathize with the fact that it's not the easiest for our generation, even though we're one of like the, I guess, the earlier generations who were aware of mental health issues to some degree. So I really appreciate you sort of breaking it down in a way where it's still allowing people recognize that there's so much that they can do within the confines of their home to already allow themselves regulate their nervous system and their stress levels without it being anything that is, so to speak, high demanding, like going to therapy and whatnot. Not saying that those things are not good, but just obviously just pointing that out as well.
And I think that kind of segues into our next question, which is the pressure to be on a healing process or self-improvement. Because I do think a lot of people have the awareness, like something's not working, something needs to change, which I also think can add to just feeling unhappy too. Like, feeling stuck. Like I know something's going on, but I don't necessarily know where to start from, or I don't even know where to get the help from, or it's just easy to function this way because this is all I've known, right?
Yeah.
So do you both think the culture of encouraging people to seek therapy or even do things like yoga or like mindfulness, do you think that adds pressure into making millennials unhappy?
It's a good question.
That's a really good question. I think it could be like a double-edged kind of sword.
Yeah.
Because I think more people seeking therapy and seeking self-improvement just means there's a destigmatization of seeking help or asking for help or even admitting that you need some kind of help. Because you can imagine maybe, let's say even as early as 10, 15 years ago, seeking therapy or people hearing mental illness could just mean, think about the average Nigerian. If you say mental illness, even till today, actually, they might just immediately picture maybe one of those people kind of roaming the streets or, as opposed to your mental well-being, you're not well, like just holistically, right? It could just be that you can seek help. So I think there's a shift in the destigmatization of therapy culture and self-improvement. But I also think on the other side of it, if you're not on that level yet, let's say you're just kind of just living your life as you've been and you start to see all I think there's a commercialization now of self-improvement, of wellness, of therapy even sometimes, of yoga, of
performance.
So many activities that people are saying, oh, if you do this as self-care, it will help you improve your life. Or if you do this, if you read these many books, or if you...
Or just block all those people, block everybody.
Exactly, block all... you're kind of doing it to fix yourself. So there's an added pressure in that way to just do the small, basic one-off thing. And you're not healing in the way that you should be, right? So that pressure can just lead you to do one thing. And maybe you go there and you're like, all these people have done so much work and so much healing, and this person is on this level and this person is on this journey, and you start to look at yourself as, is there something wrong with me? Or maybe you've never even thought that there was an issue with you, or you never really thought that there was anything, but you start to see, all your friends are going to therapy, or all your friends are even using therapy speak or therapy language, and now you're like, is there something I should be doing? So I think that it could be double-sided, where you kind of just need to know for yourself where you're at, how you feel, what you need. As I've been going back recently to the basic needs of the person: food, water, shelter, clothing. Should they said those are our basic needs. Maybe
Yeah.
you can add healthcare these days and you can add education. Like I would say those are now our basic needs.
Yeah.
But everything else, I'm starting to feel like, are these not wants? Are these not wants? So I feel like as individuals, we need to really investigate ourselves, not from a place of judgment, but more from a place of self-compassion and just being kind to ourselves and, seeking help from the depths of ourselves as opposed to, looking outside.
Yeah. Paula, what about you? What do you think?
Absolutely. No, I think Faith, you hit the nail on the head that it's really a double-edged sword in the sense where it can be beneficial, but also people do romanticize it to some degree because I think also with social media and whatnot, there's this, I can easily just open my app and I'm one of them who, let me just make it clear because my content on social media as a therapist obviously is very much so in relation to self-improvement, healing and whatnot. But to some degree, and I'll just give this quick example as my way to just answer this question.
Yeah.
Clearly this week I have been struggling. I sound like it. I feel like it. I don't look like it. Thank God.
Period.
But I've been struggling this week. And I had a moment where I opened social media and my algorithm was just like, you need to do this and you need to do that. You need to do this. And I actually just said to myself, I was just like, nope, this week I don't care. Like I literally was just like, I don't care. And I had like a very, what I guess could be called like a moment where you just kind of snap. Where I'm just like, no. Like, I'm not trying to buy into this. I'm going to just give myself grace. I'm going to meet myself where I'm at. And I think to some degree as well, as long as we have boundaries around our healing process and we understand that it's very much so your healing process, emphasis on yours rather, meaning it has to be personalized to you.
Agreed.
Your capacity, your capability, where you're at. And part of that healing process as well is really just being able to meet yourself where you're at because you're not trying to get to a destination where when people say I am healed or I'm a healed person, personally speaking, that rubs me off the wrong way in the sense where it is a healing journey. You're going to always learn about yourself. You're going to, there's things about yourself that you will not realize until maybe 5 years from now that you're going to learn about yourself. So really being able to be honest with ourselves, but while also not putting pressure and really having some healthy boundaries around what that healing process looks like. I think that that's definitely something that us as millennials can obviously benefit from and feel more supported and seen.
Yes. Thank you both for sharing because it's true. If you're on a journey, you shouldn't be comparing it with other people. That's just going to make you feel like you're not doing enough and it's going to to take you steps back from that healing that you're supposedly supposed to be doing. So like what Paula and Faith have said, like focus on yourself, focus on your needs, focus on your journey, focus on being compassionate and patient with yourself, focus on building those boundaries, and I mean boundaries in terms of like limiting yourself with the access of things that take you steps back.
Absolutely.
If it's the apps, if it's, one person's page in particular, you don't have to expose yourself to that. I don't think people realize how much power and control they have. You have the power and control to limit that yourself. You have all the autonomy in the world to make your life look like what you want it to look like, right? It doesn't have to look like what society has told you or like what you're observing from other people. So just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
What would you guys like to tell, let's say, a tired or discouraged millennial that's listening now? What message would you want them to take away from this episode? Because we've talked about a lot. What would you want it to be a key takeaway for them to kind of hold on to and make them start working through their journey of what happiness or contentment looks like for them moving forward?
I think, firstly, you're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone in however that you feel. I think it's always good to remember that it's okay to pause. It's okay to rest. And a lot of the times, I think people really don't understand what rest actually is. For me, rest is doing nothing. Rest is
absolutely
in somewhere like Lagos now. People go to party to rest, like because they are not working.
To each its own.
because they are not working, they feel as though they're resting. You are watching TV. You feel as though you're resting. Right? And rest is a big, big, big thing. It's okay to rest. It's okay to do nothing. I think we need to also get comfortable with being okay doing nothing.
Yeah.
Our worth isn't necessarily like determined
Tied.
by how much
Yeah.
success or how much productivity you can achieve.
Mhm.
And like I
Yeah.
said before, self-compassion, it goes a long way. I
Yeah.
always try and talk to myself the way that I would talk to a friend.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna tell a friend, you could have done better.
Yeah.
The way that I would tell myself, even if I was going to say that to a friend, I would say it so much nicer, so much kinder, so much more palatable, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's important to also speak to myself in those types of ways. And I would encourage anybody listening to do the same thing. Choose to be gentle. There are very few gentle people in the world. So be gentle with yourself, be gentle with others. And yeah, you're not alone. You're really not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very big one.
Absolutely. And I think for someone like myself who does not give myself a lot of credit, I can be very hard on myself.
Yeah.
I always try as much as possible, even though my partner and my grandmom specifically, two of them specifically, they always feel like what's the word? Like you're hyping people up, like, oh gosh, there's a word that we say, like you're boboing. So basically when you're like, oh yeah, you're so great, you're so this, you're so that. But there's a reason why I do that. I do that because as someone who's very hard on myself, my thought process is always, us as individuals, let alone as millennials, we are all very hard on ourselves to some degree. Even though the circumstances are not really in our favor. So of course, in having people encourage you and sort of pour life into you, it's such a blessing to be able to play that kind of role for people, because sometimes people need to hear that so they can, you're almost giving them permission to not be, I guess, hard on themselves.
Yeah.
Do you know that meme of Kris Jenner where she's like, you're doing amazing, sweetie?
Yeah.
That's sort of like my message. Like my message to the millennials is like, you're doing amazing, sweetie.
Oh, that's
like,
so
keep up the
sweet.
good job, because honestly, give yourself credit. Just existing in this world alone, you're already doing enough, or you're already doing a lot. So I think like we need to be able to just recognize that it is okay for us to also see that we're doing okay, and that's good enough as well.
Yeah.
How about you, Aisha?
Thank you both for sharing. I think just echoing what both of you have said, I think I'll just say, give yourself permission to live life for you, whatever that looks like for you. Take a moment, pause, reflect, and just live it for you.
Absolutely.
Don't live it for your parents. Don't live it for your friends. Live it like exactly how you want it to look like. But not with like hustle culture, like too much work, too much burning out, not tying all of those. Let there be balance. Thank you, Faith. Yes, let there be balance, because at the end of the day, this life is for you only.
Absolutely.
And you have, again, all the power. You have power to make it look like what you want it to look like, and just be patient with yourself. Well, like Paula said, we're doing the best we can. You're doing amazing, sweetie. You got to recognize that. You got to recognize that. Listen, I know it's hard because what you envisioned growing up, because, you know, the trajectories of our parents' success and generation above us success, it seems like there was just a direct trajectory. That's not what it looks like for us now.
Yep.
So I get it can be very frustrating, because you're like, dang, my vision is not aligning, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that there's something wrong. You can make something beautiful out of, you know, the flexibility of changing things now, or that trajectory is not the way that you envisioned it to be. So, you know, just be patient and be compassionate with yourself and stretch. Millennial stretch, stretch.
Moving. Move your body.
Move that body.
Relax your shoulders and move your body. Actually, I have one more thing I would like to add to that really quickly, because I mean, it just popped into my head. Sometimes, right, you can hear as many words of encouragement as possible, and for you, it does not move any needles. It just still feels like I'm not doing enough. And if that's you, I think what's really important is identifying what will get you out of that.
Out of it,
So if it's that you need to take action in your own life, if you need to actually say, okay, start that business, then maybe write a business plan. You may not start the business today, but just get the things that will make you feel like, okay, I'm doing something. Get those things out of your head and onto paper. Even if it's just onto paper, just for now. Just start one step at a time. Start like a
small increments.
Exactly. Just small increments. And do little things that will kind of make you feel like, okay, now I feel like I'm doing something, right? And
exactly.
to your own standards, not to anybody else's.
Yeah.
Just identifying that, but just don't stay stuck thinking about it constantly. Try and get those things out of your head.
Sorry, please, let me add something quickly. Talk to your friends, because we all want to talk about this thing. Like, I think one thing about our generation, sometimes we don't speak. The Gen Zs, they talk to each other. Sometimes they overshare. But for us, I think I'm sorry. I think for us, we're just like, my struggle is my struggle. I'll hold on to it and figure it out. Please talk to your friends, or we're all feeling the same way.
Could a lot of the
I feel like, Aisha, you're dragging me by my two shuku.
Listen, if Faith could be dragged, that means you're dragged too.
And I talk to my mom. Dude, I may not talk to a journal and I talk to my mom. But
please talk to your friends. Talk to your friends. A lot of times when I talk to like Paula or like just my other friends, I'm like, we're actually doing enough. That's the conclusion we always get to. Like, we're doing enough. So it's like, just because sometimes you need that reminder. You may not necessarily get it from sitting in your head. And yes, you want to journal and do all those things. But for most of it, it's just like, what can I do? What can I motivate myself? Sometimes just talk to someone that's like, you're actually doing enough. We can get to what you
or ChatGPT.
Hey, that's another topic.
Or ChatGPT. I know a lot of people who talk to ChatGPT. That's what they talk to. My mom and ChatGPT are best friends right now.
Suggested it to me recently. Someone suggested, I didn't know. I had never thought of it, and someone suggested it to me because I was sharing something I was uncomfortable with, and they're like, ask ChatGPT what they think. I said, you that I'm talking to, why don't you give me an answer?
I'm crying.
But it's very interesting.
No, there are actually some therapy models on ChatGPT that have been developed specifically for like checking in with your feelings and whatnot. One of them I think is called, my friend was the one who told me about it. It's called Kumwe. KUMWE Thoughts Work 2. So Kumwe Thought Work 2 by Michaela Dubry or something like that.
Check that
Her
out.
therapist apparently even recommended it for her, and apparently it's something that has been programmed to allow you really check in with your feelings and find solutions, strategies and whatnot. So you have options, basically is what we're saying. You got options.
Oh yeah. All right. Okay, guys.
This was a great
I
conversation.
had such a fun time. Like, I did not want the conversation to end.
I was like, no, let's not end.
Okay, Faith, where can the people find you on social media? Because I have a feeling people will be reaching out.
Great, thank you. Social media, I am Good Faith Yoga, at Good Faith Yoga on all social media platforms. TikTok, Instagram, and I was about to say Twitter, but it's called X now.
Our app.
Yes, I share posts about yoga, mindfulness, how to deepen your yoga practice, how to be a better yogi. And it's not just all stretches. There's also mindfulness practices going on there, and things that will be really helpful in your healing journey.
She's not lying, because some stuff she posts, I practice it and it's been helpful. Seriously. I'm like, oh my God, Faith posted this. Let me go practice it now.
I love your content so much. One of my favorites. Okay, where can they find this conversation? Where can our listeners find this conversation?
You can find us on Instagram at DWHYA Podcast and on TikTok on DWHYA Podcast 1. And if you would like to share your feedback, thoughts, or just reach out to us on anything, you could email us at info@dwhya.com.
And please, 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 as you're listening, leave a review, comments. Your feedback is so important. And to emphasize on this, the reviews, your comments, your feedback is what helps us make this podcast a great podcast. So we would love to hear from our listeners as well. With that being said, you're doing amazing.
You're doing amazing, sweeties.
Proud of you.
Thank you so much, Faith. This was a great conversation. And please, we would love to have you back on again.
Very soon.
I'm ready to come back next week. But thank you so much for having me. It's been great being here.
All right, bye.
Till then, bye.
Bye. Have a great day.